Alright guys, Raw Rustler here, and today I'm going to be reviewing the August 31st editions of NXT and the Cruiserweight Classic. This is the 8th episode of the Cruiserweight Classic, and the first real episode of NXT since Brooklyn, as last week's episode just featured dark matches and recaps of NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 2. Sorry this review's going up later. My brother was not at work today, so I could not record this video. He's actually gone out now, so I can record it now. But anyway, we'll start, of course, with NXT, and the show kicked off with Samoa Joe in the trainer's room. We found out that he did suffer a broken jaw at the hands of Shinsuke Nakamura, but he's not cleared to compete yet. This angered Joe. Regal looked a little bit concerned. Whatever, it was just a segment. First match on the show, Ty Dillinger against Buddy Murphy. Buddy Murphy's far better than Wesley Blake. He has much more charisma. He has much more wrestling acumen as well. This matchup was okay in the end, of course. Ty Dillinger wins again. Maybe they're going to be starting to push Ty Dillinger slightly, of course. He beat Blake in the Brooklyn dark match, and then he's beaten Buddy Murphy here. He won with the tiebreaker, the Ushigoroshi. So, cool, good stuff for Ty Dillinger. I'm not going to rate the matchup. If I was, 1 3/4 wasn't particularly good, but, well, 2. I'll give it 2. It was fine. Then we had Tommaso Ciampa backstage, interviewed on his own without Johnny Gargano, who of course has an injured knee, as they play up their injury he suffered against TJ Perkins. They recap that matchup from the Cruiserweight Classic. Ciampa would be attacked by the Revival, who will drag him out to the ring and end up giving him a shatter machine. Ciampa tried to fight it, but just couldn't. So maybe we are going into a program again with Ciampa and Gargano taking on the Revival. Maybe they'll get a rematch. It doesn't make sense for the Revival to attack Ciampa. They beat them at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. Why would they want to start a fight with them again? They've already won the war. So a little bit iffy there, but if we get another tag match between these teams, that's great, because those guys are awesome together. And obviously this does give Ciampa a reason to turn on Gargano at some point. He wasn't there to help him, even though of course he is injured. Second match on the show, Steve Cutler and Kenneth Crawford. I could not care less. Steve Cutler won with a move, and Kenneth Crawford looked fairly decent in this matchup, but Steve Cutler, to me, just has nothing of any value to bring to NXT. So, I guess they've got a new crop of stars, and Steve Cutler's one of them. Yay! Hideo Itami was backstage and talked about kneeing Austin Aries, well, go-to-sleeping Austin Aries, and he says he'll do it again if Aries gets in his face. Whatever. Itami's English is coming along slightly better than I predicted, but it's still not quite as good as, say, Nakamura's or even Asuka's. So I think they do need to still keep him training in English. The next match was No Way Jose, Angelo Dawkins, another pretty much throwaway matchup. They didn't really do anything with No Way Jose in this matchup. He won with the full Nelson Slam. Angelo Dawkins. What does a win over Angelo Dawkins do for No Way Jose? It does nothing. And it seems like No Way Jose will be feuding with Bobby Roode next, going off a segment after this. So, good for No Way Jose, but he won't be winning that feud either. So, they should probably give him some build and have him beat someone of some acumen, but it doesn't seem like they're going to be doing it. Sadly for No Way Jose. We had Cien in the back talking with Austin Aries. Austin Aries basically mocked Cien. I imagine we'll get a matchup at some point between these two. Should be pretty entertaining matchup. I hope Cien does. Honestly, I've heard that on house shows he's playing heel, and apparently he's doing it very, very well. And I feel like if you make him a heel, if you scrap the crappy gimmick, then he could be a good talent, and fans could hate him as a heel. I think it'd be very easy to hate as a heel. Last match on the show, Liv Morgan against Aaliyah. Aaliyah was sporting a new attire. She's no longer the gypsy. She's now a hard-ass bitch, is what I got from it, basically. She played heel to Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan, I guess now that Carmella's not playing the New York gimmick because she's a heel, Liv Morgan can play that gimmick up a little bit more. However, this matchup totally sucked. It wasn't very good at all. Apart from the fact that these women are attractive, there's no reason to watch this match. It wasn't very good. Liv Morgan wins in the end with a pretty sloppy, actually, heel kick to Aaliyah. Liv Morgan might be getting a push for the women's title. Man, this women's division is screwed. Liv Morgan's very pretty, but she is garbage in the ring. I'm going to be totally honest. She's really, really rubbish. And as I just mentioned, No Way Jose was backstage, and Bobby Roode comes in. So it seems like there's going to be a feud between the two of them. Bobby Roode should win, and that makes total sense. Whatever, this was a fine segment. And then our main event segment was Nakamura coming out and celebrating his title win. Best segment on the show because Nakamura has that charisma and just entertains you regardless. It wasn't a great segment, it probably wasn't even that good of a segment, it was a decent segment. But it was better than anything on this show. And that's how you end NXT. And honestly, I know I've probably rushed NXT. That's because there was nothing here, really. Some pretty crap matches. Liv Morgan was crap. Steve Cutler was crap. Ty Dillinger and Murphy was okay. The Ciampa Revival segment was okay. No Way Jose's match was pointless. Very pointless episode outside of Liv Morgan being pushed as maybe the next woman's contender, even though she sucks. And Nakamura's celebration of the title, which he got a great pop. He got a good ovation, so good for Nakamura. And now we move on to the CWC, which was totally different. It was an awesome hour of professional wrestling, as this show always is. I say it every single week, that's the best episode of the CWC. This was the best episode of the CWC. These two matches were excellent professional wrestling. If you have the network and you aren't watching the CWC, what are you watching on the network? You aren't watching Holy Foley, because it's pretty garbage. Well, it's not garbage, it's not very good. So this CWC show kicked off with Akira Tozawa taking on Gran Metalik, and what I loved about this matchup is how Metalik can work a Japanese style, which is pretty much the style of Tozawa, and Tozawa could work Metalik's Lucha Libre style. So Tozawa hit Metalik with several suicide dives, or tope suicidas as Mauro would call them, but Metalik would also use some strong style on Tozawa. He would slap him, he would kick him, he gave him a fantastic penalty kick to the back, which I thought was awesome. It was probably more to the shoulder than the back. Great stuff, great near falls. Metalik was awesome, a lot of springboards, a tope con hero from Metalik. Tozawa did some great stuff. In the end, Metalik went for a big head kick. Metalik kept going for that Metalik driver, but could not hit it. Metalik went for a big kick to Tozawa. Tozawa went under, big snap German suplex, big deadlift German suplex. Metalik kicked out at 2, fantastic near fall there. Tozawa went for a straight jacket German suplex this time. Metalik would escape that and hit him with a Metalik driver. Gran Metalik advances to the semi-finals. Very shocked that Tozawa was eliminated, but I guess they do have another Japanese guy in Kota Ibushi. But really great matchup, 4.25 stars. You need to go and check this matchup out. It was probably the second best wrestling match outside of Ibushi and Alexander, which was a better wrestling matchup, only just than this one. But overall in the tournament, this was a great matchup regardless. I still prefer the Ciampa Gargano match because of the story they told. And speaking of story, our main event of the show, Brian Kendrick, Kota Ibushi. This told such a fantastic story because Brian Kendrick was the inferior wrestler to Kota Ibushi. Kota Ibushi was a much superior wrestler. So Brian Kendrick did everything. He tried to win by countout on 2 separate occasions. On one occasion, locking Ibushi's leg in the guardrail. On the second occasion, giving Ibushi a neckbreaker on the steel turnbuckle, which was a sickening spot. These two guys, some of the moves they hit, I felt like I was watching a full-on Japan match. I felt like I was watching a Noah match or even a New Japan match. Some of the moves these guys were hitting. Big sliced bread number 2 from Kendrick, really popped for that, got a great near fall. Kendrick tried so hard in this matchup. The fantastic commentary in this matchup was great because Brian Kendrick, every time it's an Ibushi matchup, he always says Kota Ibushi is the hardest kicks in the world. Great commentary there. He would then focus on the neck of Ibushi and look at how he's had neck issues in the past. That was also great because that came into the matchup after that neck breaker on the turnbuckle. Kendrick would focus on the neck, give him a cravat neck twist. The big spot really was Ibushi was hit with a burning hammer from Brian Kendrick, just killing Kota Ibushi with this burning hammer. Oh my god, I never thought I'd see a burning hammer on WWE television again. I did right here on the 8th episode of the Cruiserweight Classic. Fantastic near fall off that burning hammer. Kendrick locked him in the bully choke at several occasions. Ibushi would escape it. Ibushi eventually would hit a big head kick, go for the Phoenix Splash to Brian Kendrick. Missed that. Kendrick locked him in a bully choke again. Ibushi would escape that. Kendrick would get a hit with a huge head kick. These head kicks in this match were fantastic from Ibushi. And then finally, the Golden Star Powerbomb would put Brian Kendrick away. 4.25 stars. Fantastic professional wrestling matchup. Told a fantastic story. Had fantastic wrestling maneuvers. And I don't think in terms of wrestling it was as good as the other match. There was more blow-away moves. Like, for example, this wheelbarrow pile driver, which Ibushi did, where he's got the legs wrapped around his stomach and Brian Kendrick's head is down there, and he just, boom, pile driver, very similar to the one that that Kenny Omega delivered to Tetsuya Naito in their G1 Climax recently. Such a phenomenal match. But yeah, in terms of spectacular spots, like the burning hammer, the sliced bread, that awesome wheelbarrow pile driver, this was better than the other match on the show, but that match was a better wrestling match overall. This one here was more about telling a story. Two matches, totally different, both great. 4.25 stars to both. Awesome professional wrestling. And as the show cuts off and we find out there'll be Noam Dar and Zack Sabre next week, which should be pretty good, and Rich Swann against TJ Perkins, which should also be very, very good. I'm not looking forward to those two as much as I did to these two. These two were the big matches I was looking forward to. But anyway, as we get another Easter egg after that, the announcers stop and Brian Kendrick's in the ring after the show, and you can see everybody. Thank you, Brian. Brian Kendrick, tears in his eyes. He did show Ibushi respect after the matchup, as did Tozawa to Metalik, which was a really nice moment to see Brian Kendrick finally embrace somebody in the tournament after being such a heel. Brian Kendrick would be met in the ring by Daniel Bryan, and they would hug it out, and they would have a very emotional, touching, awesome lump in my throat moment that ends the show in such a great manner. The CWC is freaking amazing. If you don't watch this show, what do you watch in the WWE? I know Raw and SmackDown are more mainstream, but this is by far the best hour of wrestling to me every week. And I watch a lot of hours of wrestling, so awesome stuff. 2 4.25 star matches and a very emotional send-off to Brian Kendrick, who will be in the Cruiserweight division. So that's going to be awesome if, it's going to be awesome. But in the end, I think I'll give this episode of this Cruiserweight Classic a 9 out of 10. I think it was the best episode of the Cruiserweight Classic they've done. And I say that every week. And next week, I don't think I will say that next week because the matches won't be as good as these two, I don't think. But they should still be pretty good matches. I think Swann and TJ Perkins should be a very charismatic matchup, whereas Noam Dar and Zack Sabre Jr. should be much more of a technical wrestling matchup. So thanks for watching, guys. This has been Raw Russell. Like, comment and subscribe for more. Tell me your thoughts on this week's episode of the Cruiserweight Classic. What did you think to the emotional send-off to Brian Kendrick? Is it a send-off because he will be in the Raw Cruiserweight division going off the vignettes that we've seen on Raw? Who do you think is going to win the Cruiserweight Classic at this point? Do you think it's going to be Kota Ibushi? Could it be Gran Metalik? Are you looking forward to next week's show? And what do you think to this week's NXT? I thought it was a very, very kind of boring show with a decent segment at the end, and at least there's some direction with that women's division, although I don't agree with it. But thanks for watching, guys. This has been Raw Slot. Like, comment, and subscribe for more. I will be back next week, of course, with Monday Night Raw, SmackDown Live, and the NXT and Cruiserweight Classic. I'll also have to predict Backlash, and I'll have to review Backlash, which will probably be late up on Monday because I have to go to Lincoln. So thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. This has been Revolver Russell.